Hey, ladies and gentlemen, middle guy back. And today I want to talk about how much damage Trump is doing to the left. He's doing so much damage to the left that he literally has them defending someone pushing terrorist propaganda and terrorism in our country. So I want to go over to this video here from Fox. And we'll get into this, and we'll discuss this as we go through it here. But I'm like I'm not surprised, honestly, because Trump could cure fucking cancer, and the left would come out and be against it for some reason, saying that he didn't cure. Why didn't he cure something else? But this just shows you the state of the left and the Democrat Party. Is they're so deranged and unhinged that they're supporting terrorism in our country. Let's get into this.
Live at Columbia University, where today an anti-Israel student walkout is expected on this campus.
Good, walk out. No one gives a shit. Go fuck off somewhere.
And at other colleges across the country.
Again, nobody cares. Walk out. Who gives a fuck?
Students are planning to walk out just days after the arrest of Mahmoud Khalil. Now, Khalil was one of the leaders behind that anti-Semitic...
Yeah, dude that was impeding on others' rights and calling for fucking violence against Jewish people. It's totally not racist at all. Dude's here on a green card, and somehow the left thinks that we should allow him to stay here like he's a citizen. A citizen would be arrested for calling for violence, for impeding others' rights. It's illegal. Protests are supposed to be peaceful. It fucking says it right in the goddamn Constitution. Peacefully assemble. I don't understand why you're completely skipping over the word peacefully, but it's fucking there.
Protest at Columbia University. A judge temporarily blocked Khalil's deportation. The White House sources are now telling Fox that Khalil is being investigated as a national security threat. And though
he is a national security threat, if he's pushing Hamas propaganda, which is a fucking terrorist organization, basically they're the Nazis 2.0, yes, he should be arrested. He is a fucking terrorist. Get him the fuck out of this country. We don't need people like this in this country. You're not a citizen. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck off back to Palestine or Gaza or wherever the fuck. Just do your shit somewhere else. It's just not going to happen here, dude. Sorry. The adults are back. We're not dealing with this bullshit anymore.
Those are the grounds upon which they are seeking to remove that green card. They found
Exactly. Read the fucking law. Nowhere in the law does it say you have to be convicted of anything. They can revoke your shit at any time for pretty much any fucking reason at all. This is a great reason. Deport this motherfucker.
Semitic and hateful posts, they say, on his social media accounts. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kaylee McEnany, here with my co-host Emily Campagno and Harris Faulkner. Also joining us, Ainsley Earhart, Fox and Friends co-host, and Paul Morrow, Fox News contributor.
Yeah, I don't understand how people are defending this. Oh, it's free speech. It's free speech. Calling for violence is not fucking free speech. Full stop. You're not allowed to do that. And what happened to the left with their hate? Oh my God, hate speech is so bad. Hate speech. You're literally pushing hate speech. Now, I don't want anybody censored because the more we let people talk, the more you find out who the fucking assholes and the stupid people are. I'm all about free. You can say whatever the fuck you want. I could give two shits less. But when you're calling for violence against people, there has to be consequences. Just like the left with their whole, oh, you can't yell fire in a fucking movie theater. Okay, well, you can't yell to fucking murder every Jew that you see either.
Attorney, retired NYPD inspector, and founder of opsdesk.org. Well, here we go. Democrats signaling their support for the detained agitator who led the protest at Columbia. House Judiciary Dems are posting this picture yesterday with the caption, "Free Mahmoud Khalil."
The Democrat Party is literally calling for the release of a Hamas propagandist. Just let that sink in for a minute. The Democrats are calling for the release of a Hamas propagandist. Calling for the death of Jews. They want this person released and allowed to stay in our country.
The White House responded with their own image in a quote from President Trump. His quote says, "This is the first arrest of many to..."
Good. Arrest anybody that was calling for violence during these protests or being uncivil. They should all be arrested and charged to the fullest. I thought no one was above the law. That's so weird how they completely just navigated away from that. The biggest hypocrites are the leftists and the Democrats. Because they'll accuse you of everything, but then when it happens to them, they'll completely move on and just ignore it. Just like they're pushing the whole eggs. Oh, the egg prices dropped 10% now. They completely haven't said anything about that at all. The biggest fucking hypocrites. And they're being exposed every single day by Trump. And it is so amazing.
To come. We know there are more students at Columbia and other universities across the country who have engaged in pro-terrorist, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel activity, anti-American activity rather, and the Trump admin will not tolerate.
Exactly, as we shouldn't. We should not tolerate this as American citizens. We shouldn't tolerate pro-terrorism, any attacking of anybody because of their race, religion, or color, and we certainly shouldn't fucking support any anti-American activities. That's just self-destruction.
And earlier today, House Speaker Mike Johnson doubled down on Trump's statement.
Let me tell you something. I went face down the angry mob at Columbia at the height of that stuff. When the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas protesters were there. I'm telling you, this is my own observation, not something I read in the newspaper. It was dangerous. The administrators there refused.
Well, yeah, anybody that watched any of the video and read any of the stories knows it was very dangerous. These people were taking over buildings and not allowing Jewish people to enter campus or go to classes. That's shit they did back that the fucking white Democrats did back during segregation when they tried to stop black people from attending classes. It's just ridiculous.
Refused to take control of that campus. They have to keep control of campus. The first responsibility of an administration is ensuring the safety of the students who are paying tuition to be there.
Exactly. And Columbia and a lot of other colleges as well completely and utterly failed at doing that. And it is fucking disgusting, and I'm glad their funding is pulled. They don't deserve a goddamn penny.
Crying out loud. This madness has to stop. We have to get control of it. This guy apparently...
Biden should have stopped it, but he didn't give a shit.
He was a mastermind of those very things, when the gnashing of teeth and the ripping of clothes and the people screaming at me, wanting to rip me limb from limb because I was there talking about moral clarity and how there's a right and a wrong. They were doing that. They disrupted the campus. They were threatening physical violence to their fellow students.
Absolutely. Everything he's saying is correct.
Students.
If you actually paid attention, you'd know that.
If you're on a student visa, I'm going to say this clearly. If you are on a student visa and you're in America, and you're an aspiring young terrorist who wants to prey upon your Jewish classmates, you're going home.
Yeah, you can pack your shit and get the fuck out. We're not playing anymore. Cutesy time is fucking over with.
We're going to arrest your tail.
I'll say it. We'll arrest your motherfucking asses.
And we're going to send you home where you belong. And this is just getting started. So, look, I appreciate free speech. I used to defend it in courts.
Everyone loves free speech, but you don't get to. Free speech isn't threatening to do harm to others and calling for violence against people. That's not free speech.
But this is far beyond the pale of that. When you are threatening your classmates and spewing anti-Semitism and all this hatred, it's enough.
Yeah, you can pack your shit and get the fuck out if you're doing that shit. We don't need you in this country. We don't want you in this country if that's what you're doing. What happened to diversity and equality and everybody loving everybody, and the Democrats are supporting basic Nazi tactics against Jewish people done in the name of pro-Palestinian shit? Get the fuck out of here. This is goddamn ridiculous.
An important day is coming
and of course now
for every
they roll
American
through
with
here,
money in the market.
which is stupid, and I hate
And
when
it'll
this
be here
shit
sooner
happens.
than you
Sorry
think.
about that. All right.
You know, Ainsley, as I look at this, he's exactly right. You think about the Jewish students who in some cases were physically attacked on.
Yeah. Hey, Democrats, where's the empathy for those people? Why do you have so much hatred for the Jews? You guys are really the Nazis, I think. That's why. Even the Jewish people, even the Jewish elected officials aren't saying shit about this because they're fucking cowards.
On college campuses, made so uncomfortable that they could not go to their classrooms.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I thought the school was supposed to be a safe space for all students. Why are you allowed to make the Jews feel not safe? And why was that supported? Because allowing it to happen is supporting it. Not saying anything is saying it's okay. It's like your kid goes and takes a fucking cookie out of the cookie jar and you just look at him and let him walk away and eat the fucking cookie. You just told him that it was cool for him to do that shit.
One student was interviewed by Barry Weiss's The Free Press. And here's what she said. Students who have faced anti-Semitic hostility on campus since October 7th see things differently. This is Shoshana Afzuin. Afzuin, who is Jewish, says she hasn't been able to attend many of her classes because protesters physically impeded us from doing so, or because professors have jumped on the bandwagon. I don't think anyone who's fomenting pro-terror, anti-Semitic, anti-American rhetoric who is not a U.S. citizen has any inherent right to be here.
And she is absolutely 100% dead on balls accurate with that statement. They don't belong here. Pack your shit and get the fuck out. You can go spew your hate speech somewhere fucking else. And your anti-American bullshit somewhere else. Especially if you're not a citizen. If you're a citizen, hey, whatever. You know, you want to say you hate it so much here, why are you here? But when you're here on a fucking visa, no. Pack your shit, get the fuck out. You're going. We're deporting your ass. And you're never coming back.
Right, he's a Hamas sympathizer.
And fuck Hamas.
That's a terrorist organization. In their charter, they want to destroy Israel. That's what he believes. And
yeah, so you know what? He doesn't belong in this country then. He can pack his shit and he can get the fuck out. We don't have room for any hate. Bye.
we're allowing him to go to school here and be in charge and the leader of all of these
Yeah, who's paying for his school? Probably our tax dollars.
protests. These Jewish students, I feel so sorry for
Probably USAID.
them because they're only attacking the Jewish students. They're saying, are you a Zionist? And if they say yes, you can't go to class.
I would tell him, yeah, I'm get the fuck out of my way before I start cracking goddamn skulls.
You can't pass by. That's called discrimination. I'm all for free speech, but this is a hostile environment. And
That's the same thing the Democrats did to black people during segregation. Same thing.
Leo Terrell is going to 10 different universities under the Trump administration, and he's going to check them out. And if they are allowing anti-Semitism on their campuses, then he's going to say defund. Our
Good. Defund any school that allows this shit.
federal dollars will not go to these universities.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
disgusting.
exactly how it should be. You know, Harris, I go back to why are we here? And we are here because of October 7th, deadliest terrorist attack in Israel's history. And as I'm watching these images, look at this, okay, these protests that are happening on college campuses. As I'm doing this, I had a
Protesting is fine. Impeding others' rights while you're protesting is not fine. Being anything but peaceful is not fine. Calling for violence against others is not fine. That's not free speech protected activity. Read the fucking First Amendment.
tweet that came in from IDF, and I just want to share it. Emily Damari is 28 years old. Emily Damari was one of the hostages taken on October 7th. 17 months since Dr. Hamas at Shifa Hospital treated Emily Damari, an Israeli returned hostage. She was wounded and in need of treatment. Instead of proper care, she lost 2 fingers, and you can see those lost fingers there. Instead of real treatment, her leg wound was left open, barely stitched. 17 months later, she is finally in Sheba Medical Center. This is a 28-year-old girl.
Yeah, that's disgusting. And these are the people that these stupid asses are trying to support, is people that do shit like this. This is disgusting. Hamas should be completely eliminated from the face of the fucking earth. And anyone who supports their terrorism should be as well.
Pretty much the same age as these college protesters. Why not protest for her?
No, of course not. Why would they protest for her? That would make sense.
Well, look, I mean, this is based on hate. And you know what? I'm so glad.
Yeah, this is the Nazi Germany 2.0. Is exactly what this is. These people are Nazis.
You brought all of that up, that very beginning stage. Wasn't when the hate started. It's when we saw how much of it there was in the underbelly of this nation. And I say underbelly because, I mean, they weren't out protesting the way that they have been for more than a year. But they've always been. And CBS has reported on this. National Review, Andrew McCarthy, who you know we interview all the time on this network, legal genius, wrote this. Khalil was here as a lawful permanent resident alien. Now, I know you heard Speaker Johnson.
Doesn't matter. He's not a fucking citizen. No one gives a shit.
Others say a student visa. That's been updated. It's a green card. That's an LPR, lawful permanent resident alien, who was reportedly born
No one cares.
in Syria, but claims Palestinian ancestry. Andy McCarthy goes on.
Then he can go back to Syria or he can go back to Gaza. Nobody cares. You're not staying here, motherfucker.
To write, Khalil has been a prominent figure in the pro-Hamas agitation at Columbia as late as last week when he reportedly posed as a mediator between the university and quote-unquote protesters who occupied the Barnard College building.
Why do you need to mediate that? You send in the fucking cops and arrest everybody and fucking take them to jail. Simple fucking solution. They resist, you whip their asses.
Where they were. And
Fucking problem solved.
an unlawful enterprise that resulted in 9 arrests. Now, Khalil was not among those arrests. He was later picked up on some of the reasons that we're talking about, a previous investigation in terms of national security for America. Anti-American, anti-Israel, hates Jewish Americans, and is prone to being in the company of people who love Hamas, pro-terrorism, and are agitators. Look.
Cool, then he can get the fuck out of this country. It's simple. We'll help him. We'll give you a flight, dude. One way. Go fuck off somewhere else. We'll send you to Gaza. You can go hang out with them over there.
Closely at the video as police officers try to move in on them. They get violent as that happens. And what those police officers, and I'd love to hear what Paul has to say about this, they're not just holding the line. It's another line of sovereignty in this country. Yeah. If you want to be here, it's a privilege to be here.
Exactly. Why? It's not a right to come to America. It's a privilege to be here, especially if you're not a citizen.
If you weren't born here, it's a privilege. You have a way to stay. And if you're not interested in being pro-American, why do you want to be here?
Exactly. Why do you want to be? That's my whole point with any of this shit. Why are you here? Pack your shit and go somewhere else to a country where your values and views align. Don't stay here and try to bring down our country. Go fuck off somewhere. We don't have time for your bullshit. And we're not putting up with it anymore. The fucking dementia-ridden old fuck is gone. Trump's back. Shit's real. There's consequences for actions.
Emily, to the legal part of this, you know, you have a First Amendment right if you're a citizen in this country. You get the full panoply of your
Keyword what she said there. Citizen of this country.
Constitutional rights. When you're a legal permanent resident, otherwise known as an LPR, you do have some First Amendment protection, but the Supreme Court has said there are certain conditions on that. One
Exactly.
condition is national security.
Exactly.
Mark Goldfair points out this nuance, and I think it's an important one. Here's what he says. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, passed in 1952, a visa holder who endorses or espouses terrorist activity or persuades others to endorse or espouse such activity can be deported.
Exactly. Read the last part again. Can be deported. That's exactly what this asshole was doing and continues to do. Get him the fuck out of the country.
The statute, Goldfair says, could survive what's called the strict scrutiny of the First Amendment. In other words, yeah, you can say what you want, but the line may stop at supporting terrorism.
Yeah, and let's talk about just plain.
Well, it should. Especially if you're not a citizen. You're a threat. You need to get the fuck out.
Speak for a second. You don't have a driver's license without condition. That's a privilege, not a right.
Thank you.
As is being here as a legal alien. So
Thank you.
reality is that there are many conditions on the status if one is a legal lawful.
Yeah, exactly. You have to follow the fucking different rules. If you're not a citizen, you don't get all the rights of citizenship. And if you fuck around, they have the right to deport you at any time and pull your status. It's all in there. Go fucking read it if you don't believe it. You don't have a right to be here.
Full resident here of any kind. And in fact, so important that Congress codified it. This goes way beyond state law or precedent. There are chapters upon chapters in our U.S. code that specifically describes conduct that would get you deported.
Exactly.
Including domestic violence, including
exactly
aligning with terrorist activities. And I argue two additional ones I think that are specifically prescient here, which is one, presence or activities in the U.S. where the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has reasonable ground to believe would have potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequences for the United States. Foreign policy consequences for the United States. Look, currently we have an American hostage. So how is it that this person's conduct, who is calling for the, quote, eradication of the Western civilization, of saying that all Zionists must die, aligning themselves with that? Well, guess what? There's another clause in here that says participation in the commission.
But before she gets to that, why are Democrats defending this? I don't understand why they're defending this guy calling for murdering people and saying that that's fine and he should stay in the country. Make this make sense to me, please.
Of severe violations of religious freedoms. I'll tell you this, it's not hard to find multiple clauses within this code where Congress felt it deeply important to articulate exactly what deplorable conduct would get you deported. So this guy, there's a ton of boxes to check. I have no problem with prosecution being successful on this. And the judge, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Me neither. I don't see how the judge is going to look at this and go, oh, no, it's cool. He could stay. She's totally fine, the shit he's saying and doing.
Putting that stymie for a second, that's
Right.
merely procedural. Believe me, he will have the door closed behind him when he exits the United States.
And a
rightfully.
political.
Good. Boot him in the fucking ass on his way out, too.
Yeah. Paul, you know, I'm interested in Axios. They say that the administration will use AI technology to identify these individuals. And this apparently is a template. So it's not
Good.
going to be just.
Use whatever the fuck you need to identify these terrorists and get them the fuck out of the country and hold them accountable for their crimes. No one's above the law, lefties, I thought.
Khalil, there will be others. But among how they're going to use this AI technology to catch these pro-Hamas sympathizers, officials plan to examine internal databases to see whether any visa holders were arrested but allowed to stay in the country during the Biden administration.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they probably were. I'm not going to be surprised at all.
So really, people may be arrested and then just you get to stay?
Well, before the left melts,
Of course, because Biden and his administration hated America. They didn't give a fuck. Why did they let in so many goddamn illegals?
down, let's remember that they almost certainly used the exact same tactic relative to Jan 6 when they went back and looked at all the video to see.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what they should have done. You don't get to act like an asshole and destroy shit and not have consequences for it.
Well, you know what? Did grandma's feet touch the Capitol steps? Because that was the metric
Exactly.
for
Now suddenly it's a bad thing to hold people accountable again. It's so weird.
arresting them on federal
Fucking rules for thee, but not for me.
trespass charges, okay? People who didn't even go into the Capitol. Different issue. Real quick, relative to the Biden administration. Here's where all of this is going, as Emily says rightly. This is going into court. The judge is going to want to have a procedural hearing to say, okay, yeah, the Trump administration is on solid ground legally here to get him out for all the reasons you articulate.
They are.
But demonstrate to us how this guy specifically qualifies. Where's the evidence relative to Khalil that he qualifies under all of these auspices? And here's where the lack of cases that we've spoken about so much over the last 4 years on this couch and also on the various shows. There were no cases relative to the unrest, the destruction of property, the occupying of buildings, the kidnapping, from where I sit, of custodians and
Yes.
other staff members.
Yes.
That's right.
If
Yeah, no one wants to talk about that.
you had the cases made, we'd have that evidence.
Yeah.
We'd throw it right there. Here he is, right there. Boom. Okay, it's open and shut. What I want to see is what evidence do they have? Because we all know last year and years prior, all these professional protesters got away with it because there were no cases.
Yeah.
But
What
it's
about
de
the night they
facto.
took
If it's
over
criminal, if he broke the law, which he did, and including the campus code,
He did break the law. There's no question about that.
that's de facto
Well-
swearing into this statute, though.
Well, and we all remember on the campus where they took over that hall. I mean,
Hamilton Hall.
they had
Yeah.
to take the food and water because the poor little protesters and
Yeah, how ridiculous was that? They were feeding the protesters and allowing them to conduct criminal activity and supporting it.
you know,
Yeah.
wannabe terrorists could not feed themselves or whatever the situation was.
Yeah.
I mean, they arrested a lot of those young people, so don't they have
And they got arrested doesn't mean they were charged,
any cases? And if they don't, why
because the leftist DAs don't charge anybody anymore for anything.
not?
They
Police
should have had
states.
real deep
Yeah.
cases, and we should be able to demonstrate that. Let's see if they have it. My gut tells me they don't, although they're going to be looking at
And I-
videos from news, et cetera.
What's the
Important
definition?
Of course they don't have it.
to share, the Free Press is noting they have an administration source saying the administration is not suggesting Khalil broke the law. They're suggesting he's a national
What
security
do you mean they
threat.
don't
There you
have a
go.
case? If
There
you're
you go.
arrested,
Yeah, that's all I have to say. He's a national security risk. Get the fuck out, dude. You're spewing terrorist talking points and propaganda. Pack your shit and go home.
isn't that considered a case?
Well, I don't know that he was arrested. That's my point. Do
No,
they
she
have
means
a
the prior
case
ones,
on-
though,
you know what I mean?
like
The
at
ones that hold
USC and
themselves-
stuff.
So, well, those you should have, exactly. But in Khalil's case, the judge is
Yes.
going to say, show me the evidence.
Yep, and just reiterating, not alleging Khalil broke the law, alleging that he's a national security threat. Those are the facts we have at this moment.
No, I think he broke the law, honestly. They can go to his social media and see that he broke the law. He's calling for violence against Jewish people. That's fucking disgusting. He needs to go. I think this dude should already have been fucking deported. And the fact that the Democrats are supporting someone who's spewing terrorist viewpoints and propaganda and calling for violence against people based on their religion is disgusting. How much lower can the Democrat Party go? I mean, they're pretty much at fucking ground level at this point. They're going to start digging into the fucking ground like Dig Dug and shit soon. I just, it's disgusting, honestly, that they would be supporting this fucking terrorist. I don't even know what else to say. But everybody, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe. Give me a follow on X at MiddleGuy7, where I love shredding the liberals on a daily basis. And I'll see everybody in the next one. Thank you.